Everyone talks about these companies. We talk with them. Welcome to Insider Talks, the show where we interview China-based professionals on hot and thought-provoking topics.
Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew David, the founder of Daxue Consulting, and its podcast, a new series of podcasts, Insider Talk, where we have the chance to talk to insiders who work within those giants of e-commerce in China. And one of them is the very, very famous Alibaba. And today we are very, very lucky to have Chloe Goncalves with us. You are International Business Development Manager among the Alibaba Group, and more specifically on Tmall Global. And actually, I see on the signature of your email, it's written Tmall.hk. And I think that's one of the questions I will have is one.hk. But to give a perspective to the people who listen to us and who are new to China, Alibaba is a giant that everyone knows for initially its B2B platform. And then Alibaba created Taobao, which was like Le Bon Coin in France or eBay in China, in the West, a C2C or a B2C, everyone could sell on this platform. And then creating Tmall, and only companies could sell on Tmall. And finally, you didn't have to register a company in China anymore to sell on Tmall. You could use Tmall Global. And here we come. We are going to talk about Tmall Global today. Thanks, Chloe, for being with us. Would you like to add anything about the history of Tmall Global?
No, I think it's a very good introduction. You're right that it's Tmall.hk, so watch HK is because actually you don't need to have a Chinese entity. You can have an entity from Hong Kong or from any other countries. So it's just making business more simpler for foreign brands who want to enter the Chinese market without having to, register their products or, having a Chinese team, a Chinese bank account, etc., etc. So it's just making, like commerce easier for foreign brands.
From a newcomer on the Chinese e-commerce platforms and digital ecosystem, it looks like a bit of an ideal situation. You can sell to this huge market, which is China, 1.4 billion people, from your own country, from your own place. What is a deal? What is a contract we need to sign with Tmall Global? I'm talking about the deposit. I'm talking about commissions. I'm talking about what kind of company can do such a commercialization on Tmall Global.
Yes, so in order to do business with Tmall Global, you need a TP. So TP is Tmall Partner, which are like agencies that can help the brand do all the operations in China. And there are two types of TPs. There are TP service, like an agency that you would pay, every month to do the operations, or TP-distributor that will actually buy the product from the brand and then open the store for the brand and manage everything. So basically, it's we call it three-party relationship between the brand, Alibaba, and the TP. So once we meet with the brand, according to their product, their ambitions in China, we would recommend them specific TPs according to their needs. There are TPs specified in fashion, some are more for cosmetics, etc. And so once the brand chooses their TP, then they can start building their store on Tmall Global. So it goes from the product selection, then you have to open your Alipay account, then you have to choose a bonded warehouse, and then you can put your products online. And in the meantime, you have to work with your TP to create an operational plan, a marketing plan. So, how you're going to tell your story in China, which product you're going to choose, how you're going to prepare for the big festivals that we have in China. So that's basically the steps for a brand to sell to Chinese consumers.
I feel a lot of companies want to sell to China. And I think you can confirm that. But what kind of financial efforts we need to consider to be serious about succeeding on Tmall Global? I know there is a deposit to put that actually it's creating trust with the clients in China, and that's the model Taobao and Tmall worked with in China. But going with a TP, I mean, that involves a certain level of commitment and financial involvement. TPs might manage big brands too at the same time, so they want to work with successful cases. So what are we talking about for a newcomer?
Yeah, you're right. So in terms of financials, I think it really depends on which type of TP you use. If you use a TP service, it means that it's a brand who has to pay all the Tmall fees, meaning, you know, we have the security deposit. So it's like a one-time, either from 50,000 RMB to 300,000 RMB at one time. And then you have the annual fee between 30,000 to 60,000 RMB per year, according to your product category. And then there is a commission fee between 1 to 5%, also based on the product category. So if you have a TP service, it means the brand has to pay all those fees plus the TP fee. So the TP fee, they will charge monthly fee plus a commission. So that's, I would say, the most expensive like way. And then TP distribution in this model, the TP will be the one paying all those fees, because he will buy the product and then take a margin and then take care of all those fees. So let's say for small brands, the TP distribution is more interesting because you have less to invest. And then if you're a big brand and want to manage everything, the TP service is the best. But actually, like the TP distribution, you know, because it's a lot of investment and risk also for them to take, they will not take like very, very small brands. They want brands who already invested a little bit in the China market, who already did some marketing investment, just to make sure that the brand's actually motivated and that they don't have to do everything. So, and then after that, we recommend the brand to invest at least 20% of their annual sales target within marketing. So let's say if you're aiming to have 1 million RMB sales, and then you should invest at least 20% of that in marketing per year in order to, you know, like make your brand awareness grow in China. So you can invest inside Tmall and also outside Tmall on social media.
When you're talking about the fact that a TP distributor is covering the initial cost, are you talking about also the deposit and the other elements that needs to be paid to Tmall, or it's only the fact that it doesn't charge the company?
So the entity who has to pay is the entity who is opening the store. So if it's a TP distributor, they become the entity of the store, so they have to pay. But if the brand is opening the store with just a TP service, then they are the one who has to pay. So that's the difference.
So in terms of other difference between TP distributor and TP service is that when you open with a TP service, you own the store. So you own your IP. So you are more free, in fact, to expand yourself and to change from a TP to another one. In the other context, you rely on the initial TP you chose, and you might be linked to him for a much longer time. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, when you choose TP distributors, usually the contracts are between 2 to 3 years, and it's a bit harder, let's say, to, of course, like change this model. I mean, the brand can take over the store, but then it means a lot of paperwork, etc. So yeah, if you're a brand who really wants to control everything from A to Z, and if you have really big ambitions in China and you want, you know, to create a team, I would advise you to use TP service. But if you're a small brand and you know you don't have time to take care of other markets, you really want someone to take care of everything for you, then the distribution model is the best model.
Okay, got it. We mentioned the cost of entering the platform itself, the payment to be done to Tmall, and some way we touch a bit on the cost of budget required by a TP. What about warehousing? That's a big topic when we're talking about cross-border. Should people choose a warehouse in Hong Kong and actually store in Hong Kong? Should they store in their own country and ship one by one, and then the time to deliver would be much longer? What are your best practices to share, and what is a typical model you would advise?
Sure. So for logistic, the cheapest way, well, we have 4 types of logistic for cross-border. Either you use bonded warehouse, either you use consolidated shipping, either you use a fulfillment center, or you use direct mail. But the easiest and the cheapest way is using bonded warehouse. So bonded warehouse are like warehouses that are based either in China, we have some in Hong Kong as well. And these are the places where brands would send their products, and Alibaba and the Tmall, so Tmall is a logistic arm of Alibaba, would take care of all the dédouanement in French. So like they would like remove all the
the taxes,
all the taxes and everything. So in this type of case, it's very easy. Once the brand has found their TP and they started the onboarding, based on what are their products, what are the locations that are still available, then they can pick which bonded warehouses they want to select, and then the TP will make some forecasts. So if he says, okay, for the next 3 months, I think we're gonna sold 30,000 SKUs, then he will make an order to the brand and I will ship it to this selected bonded warehouse, and then they would have products for the next 3 months. And then they would do this maybe 3 to 4 times a year before every big promotions, just to make sure that they actually have products in the bonded warehouse, because then it's very quick to be delivered to Chinese consumers. So from 3 to 4 days, maybe 7 days sometime, depending on where is it. But once it's in the bonded warehouse, it's very quick. So that's usually how it works.
I imagine it would be a bit more costly than the direct mail, for instance. What are the parameters to have in mind? Would it be in square meters you rent? Would it be in volume? What do we need to think of? I knew Amazon has specific numbers, for instance, but the other way around from China to the West, and they come up with from specific pricing for the warehousing in China to send. It's fulfilled by Amazon. I believe you have similar offering.
Yeah, the price of the warehouse, it's depending on how many square meters you have and what is the weight of your product. So usually they take a fee for like 1 kilo, and then for every extra kilo you pay maybe 2 or 3 RMB more. So it's hard to give you like one price right now, but it really depends on like the weight of the products and how much space you take in the warehouse.
And that's the beauty of e-commerce in China. Logistics is very inexpensive, and the quality, as we say in China, is very inexpensive. So if I understand correctly, then if I choose to go to China with a Tmall Global, strategically speaking, I should start with the lighter products and certainly the most valuable products in order to maximize this extra cost I might have.
Yeah, I think it really depends on your brand strengths and what type of products you have. What is really important to understand that Chinese consumers are very different from the consumers you would have overseas. So I would say the first step is to actually analyze the market and see who would be your consumers. Usually brands realize that consumers they have in Europe, in China, sorry, would be much younger. They would have different tastes. So sometimes products that are working very well in Europe will not be the best sellers in China. So with your TP, you have to work on, what type of product would fit the Chinese market. And then once you sell them on Tmall Global, it's a perfect way to test the market. Sometimes I have brands who say, oh yeah, I think this product is going to work really well. But after a few months, I realize that actually the best seller is something completely different. So that's why it's very interesting to use Tmall Global, because you can test the market, see which product is working really well or not, and identify what are going to be your best-selling product, your hero product, and then maybe register those products in China so you can move them and then open a Tmall store with those bestseller products. So that's really the advantage of Tmall Global, being able to test the market, and it's not working well you don't sell it anymore and you replace it with new products. So it's a really good testing.
The thinking being much more market driven to see if you have a market than looking at your cost, because when you have a market, it can be very sizable in China. A niche is very sizable in China compared to a niche in Europe or in a single country of Europe. So now we have an understanding of the cost, how to enter the marketplace, the process of shipping and warehousing. I'd like to have your opinion on what kind of brands should go on Tmall Global, and for what kind of brands you might tell them it's too early or it's not a good fit. Do you have some parameters in mind for people who might listen to us? They might ask themselves if it's worth the time to explore this possibility. What kind of brands you want to bring first on Tmall Global?
Sure. So actually, every category have their own type of needs and yeah, needs. So for example, we have cosmetics. I am in charge of mother and baby, etc. So for every category, we know which products are working well, which are some of the new trends, and which subcategories we are looking for. So for example, for mother and baby, I can tell you that, for example, it's very hard for new milk powder brand to enter the market because there is already so much competition. So for us, the key growing categories are baby care, mother care, makeup for pregnant women. So based on the data we have on Tmall and Tmall Global and also Taobao, we can see what subcategories are trendy, and then based on that, I would focus my search of brands into these subcategories. But we're really open to a lot of different brands, as long as they have a really nice story, as long as the product are quite innovative, and that could fit the Chinese demand.
You said that it's on infant formula. You said that the market was already saturated. That's a very interesting point. What are the market you would say are already saturated, to start with this one, and then to talk about the ones which are still more closer to a blue ocean, we say blue ocean, when actually the competition is not as intense as a red ocean. So you said infant formula competition is very intense. So you might be have to be a stronger company to enter the market now. What are the segments you feel within your mother and baby category do you feel are already a red ocean?
I think milk powder is definitely the biggest one. For the other one, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I mean, depending on the brand, how much you invest in your product, I think any of the categories is okay. I think during COVID period, the best selling categories were definitely health, wellness. We've seen the trend of healthy beauty, so like supplements, probiotic, maternity care. Actually, the makeup for pregnant women grown 360% this year. So yeah, because people are more concerned by the health, they also want to have like better product for their skin, better product for their babies. So yeah, I think except milk powder, and it's still possible, it's just harder. Any other categories is fine as long as you have a good strategy, as long as you have nice products and a nice TP to do all the operations. You can definitely sell well in China.
It's very interesting what you say for the makeup segment for pregnant women, especially with COVID, because the makeup segment went down actually because people were not using makeup anymore, except for the eyes. But here you have a very specific segment, and COVID-19 did not last as long in China as in the rest of the world. Do you have other case studies to share, by the way, successful case studies on your segment that entered China, or even specific names of brands that you could share with our audience?
Yeah, sure. For mother and baby, I have two other cases that are very interesting. First one is Ilado. It's a brand that makes necklaces, bola necklaces, that a pregnant woman can wear. And then the little necklace has like a bell that really smoothen, the noise really smoothen the baby, and it's like really relaxing the baby. And once the baby is born, they can still use these necklaces and put it in the doll of the baby to calm them. And so this brand, they started from scratch with a distributor a few years ago, and this was a very niche product. Nobody knew about it in China, and now more than 40% of their annual sales is actually coming from China. So it was a really interesting story, and the brand is still very shocked of the numbers, because they didn't thought they could it would work so well. And then we have another brand, Minwa Paris, which is a baby care brand. that also sells very well on Tmall Global. The packaging of the product is very cute. It's like white, blue, and pink. The price point is actually quite expensive. It's like almost 300 RMB for like a shampoo bottle or a baby wash, which is like more than 30 euro. But actually, they did a lot of incubation, so a lot of marketing in Xiaohongshu, on Weibo, and all those platforms that young mothers like to read and watch. And then thanks to that, they really managed to sell very well in China. And this year, Double 11, they did more than 220% growth compared to last year. So it's really encouraging, and it's a very good success case for really small brand in her local country.
If we dip a bit deeper into one of them, how would you explain from the start that took off? Is it because they used influencers? I feel when you mentioned Xiaohongshu, that could be the case. For the second case you mentioned, for the first one, was it on itself the product with a campaign? What are the key success factors at the initial stage, the first 6 months or the first year, that help them to take off?
Yeah, I think the really important point is the content seeding. We call it 种草 in Chinese. It's really, putting your brand out there, having a lot of posts on either Taobao, either on Xiaohongshu. It can be on Douyin, on Weibo. The more platform you put your product there, the more you will have awareness. So we call it 360 strategy. The brand has to do marketing and content sending everywhere. And so more people are actually aware of the products. And once they hear it on Xiaohongshu, and once they see a post even on WeChat, then they would go directly to Tmall to see if the brand is available. So this will bring organic traffic for the brand. And those platforms are very great to work with KOL. So you mentioned it. I think it's very important to give your product to KOLs who can give really true feelings about the brand and good advice for the consumers. And so one tactic could be to work with big KOLs, but actually now there's a more and more, we call it KOC, so key opinion consumers. So those KOL are way smaller. Maybe they will have 2,000, 5,000 followers, but the followers will actually trust them more because they are quite small and they've been following them for quite a long time. So this also is a very good strategy for smaller brands because it doesn't cost as much as big influencer like Li Jiaqi or Via. So it's really definitely a good opportunity for brands, to start the content seeding and have more awareness.
So you mentioned actually external platforms to drive traffic to Tmall, which is a conversion platform where the transaction is happening. What do you see as limitations now from Tmall Global versus Tmall? I give an example. We have worked with some brands. We have a Tmall mini program inside the Tmall. Can you do that with Tmall Global, for instance? Can you create some followers, a base of followers as well with Tmall Global with your shop, as you have on Tmall? Can you do as many things as you would do if you have a company in China and open a Tmall? What are the differences and limitations?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's on Tmall Classic or Tmall Global, it's the same flagship store. So the flagship store is really your own. It's like your own store where you can personalize everything. You can personalize the look and feel, the banner, the products you put inside. And you're right, you can also follow the store. So it's like if you would like a Facebook page, and then you would follow the news from this page. So consumers, if they like your brand, they can follow you. And then every time you have a new update, every time you do a live streaming, or for example, then they would receive a notification on that. So it's a really good way to build your brand and to create a nice interaction with the consumers, because also you can create a loyalty program, both on Tmall and Tmall Global. So, once you have a big database of consumers, you can give them specific discounts. They can see new released products earlier, etc. So it's a very powerful platform to build your brand and engage with your consumers. So there's not much difference between Tmall and Tmall Global. All the functionalities are the same on both platforms.
Okay. I believe one of the difference basically for brands is to understand that it will take more time to deliver the product most of the time. And also it needs to be clearer for, I mean, I wasn't clearer for the clearance, but it should be a better way to explain the clearance process in terms of taxes, in terms of product type, because it's not available within the Chinese market. Would you have some advice for some brands who go through Tmall Global in terms of communicating taxes that the end client has to pay or not to pay, the type of product? I'm mentioning that because we worked for a client from Australia. And they ask us to check the misunderstandings, the pain points the clients' users had when they were going through the checkout process from the Tmall Global. And we found out that the taxes were not very clear, the labels were not very clear because it was not in Chinese, it was in English. And there's a lot of topics actually to go through, the packaging, the product, and so on. What things have you seen that has to be considered quite quickly to be successful in communicating through your Tmall Global toward the Chinese audience?
Yeah, so what is very interesting on Tmall Global also, Tmall, is that the product pages are very long. You can add as much information as you want. And on Tmall Global, it's very clear. You can see where is your product right now, where is it shipping from. So it's actually very clear for the consumers. And the brand has a choice. Either they pay for the delivery fee and increase the price of the product, or the consumer can pay himself the fees. So that's a choice that the brand can make. Either they cover the cost or they let the consumers cover the cost. So it's very transparent. If the consumer like a product from Australia or from France, they will see whether the brand paid for it or if they pay for it. So that's basically how it works.
I see. In terms of packaging, should the brand have a packaging in Chinese? Is it a necessity or is it an advice you would have?
Actually, no. For cross-border e-commerce, your product has to be exactly like it is from overseas. And actually, the consumers will be very surprised if they find a product in Chinese where they order from Tmall Global. Tmall Global is really product coming from outside China. So they really want the product to be exactly the same. Classic, you need to have the packaging and the notice in Chinese because that's general trade. But for cross-border, you don't have to. So the products are exactly like you would find them in a shopping mall in Europe or Australia.
Okay, got it. So basically, even for the branding power, it's good to keep the package because it means that it's coming from overseas. It's a genuine product. It's the original product. So
exactly, I mean, that's why the consumers come to Tmall Global. They really want to find product that they cannot find in China. So that's why they use the platform. They really want to discover new products, things that are trendy from overseas. So that's really why the brand has to stick to their own product. And then if they want to, they've been in China for 2-3 years and want to open a Tmall Classic store, then they will have to personalize and do the product packaging in Chinese.
I still struggle with the difference between Tmall Global and Tmall. You say it's the same, but why a company would then decide to create an office in China and go on Tmall? I don't see a lot of advantages except maybe to be faster. And instead of being in a free trade zone within China or to be in Hong Kong for the warehousing, that would be actually a bit quicker. But what would you see as an interest or a push to go to Tmall and to register your company in China, or actually there is no use of that?
So I think it's important to understand that the China journey is a long-term journey. So we advise brands to start with Tmall Global because it's a great way to test the market. 80% of our brands did their first China entry on the platform. So it's really, the first step into China to test the product, see what's working well. And then second step would be Tmall. And when you work with Tmall, you have to register your product. And the main advantages of that is that you can actually sell offline. You cannot sell offline if you're only on Tmall Global. So that's a big advantage. You can have an O2O strategy. You can sell your product offline and online as well. So it's just adding a sales channel to the brand. The more you have Tmall stores, the more you can sell your products. And we actually have brands like Chico, which is a modern, maybe Italian brand. They actually have 7 stores in total. They have 3 on Tmall Global, 3 on Tmall Classic. And why they have so many stores? It's because in Tmall, we have a big ecosystem of 700 million consumers. So the more you have touch points with your consumer, the more you can increase your sales. So a lot of brands have this type of double store strategy, or even more stores, so they can reach more consumers, and each store would have a specific audience according to a specific subcategory. So it's definitely a good next step for a brand if they want to grow bigger in China.
It's a very good transition to Kaola. You're talking about different platforms. You can have different shops on the same platform. You can have a Tmall Global and a Tmall mainland for the same brand. What about Kaola? So Kaola was a very large and is very large cross-border e-commerce platform bought by Alibaba 2 years ago, I think, for very sizable amount of money, as the potential of the acquisition could mean for Alibaba. So what is now Kaola with this ecosystem? Is it still an independent platform? Is it actually integrated with Tmall Global? Should we consider Kaola instead of Tmall Global?
So yeah, it's a good question, and it's true that Alibaba bought Kaola a few years ago. So the platform is still independent, but we're working closely with them. So meaning if a brand is on Tmall Global and wants to open a Kaola, then we would direct them directly to the Kaola team, and the transition would be much smoother. So the main difference, I would say, between Tmall Global and Tmall Kaola is that the consumers on Kaola, they're looking for really the best deals. So usually the basket price is actually higher than on Tmall Global. The Kaola consumers are also very young. 60% of them are under 30 years old. And in terms of consumptions, usually they really like to buy in bulk. So that's why the basket price is much higher. So they will buy a bulk of a milk powder or bulk of specific makeups. So that's basically the two different consumers. And again, I think, if you have a store on Tmall Global and having one on Kaola, it's another way to add a sales channel and reach even more consumers. So we definitely encourage it to do so.
Yourself, you're also pushing some Kaola offers to your clients, or that would be another team?
Usually, if brands are on Kaola, they already are Tmall Global. Usually, we push brands from Tmall Global to Kaola because it's a new platform, and Kaola, they didn't had like foreign BD like us before. So
I see.
there was smaller teams, so less brands were aware of the potential of Kaola, and they were less aware of the platform. So yeah, now our goal is to help our Tmall Global brand expand to Kaola and have a more sales, another sales channel there.
Are the contract terms similar, like the deposit and the commissions and the way of working? Because TP is for Tmall, right, partner? So there was not Kaola TP before. So did Alibaba change the way to work with Kaola, that you need to go through a TP? Is it similar, or there are different elements to consider?
So those TPs, we call them Tmall Partner, but they can actually do everything for the brand. They can also, help them do on Kaola. They will help them, if they want to build a Xiaohongshu store, etc. So they do everything. A brand doesn't need to have a different partner for a different platform. That's, I think, the amazing thing in China is that those TP, they're really aware of all the new trends, all the new platforms. That they will provide a one big full-time solution for the brand. So you don't need to have different type of partners. And in terms of fees, it's very similar to Tmall Global. So you also have a security deposit, annual fee, commission, and then the price also of the logistic depending on the model that you choose.
So I am a brand. I open my Tmall Global, maybe my Kaola. What kind of data can I get? from about the market, about the clients, and what can I integrate with my existing e-commerce system if I want, for instance, to push my products from my Shopify to Tmall Global or from my Magento to Tmall Global? Is there solutions here, and what kind of data I can get from my Tmall Global?
So yeah, it's a good question. Once you open a Tmall Global store, the store owner has access to a dashboard. So this dashboard is in Chinese. We don't have an English version yet, but you will have a detailed analysis on your sales, on the traffic that you get, on the ROI of all your marketing activities inside Tmall. You will have insight about your products, about the logistic, the finance, everything you will have there. And one interesting thing about this platform is that you can also see the performance, your performance compared to the average performance of the category, and also compared to your competitors. So it's a very interesting insight for the brand. So that's what you get directly when you get a Tmall store. And then if you want to go a bit further, brands can request access to the brand data bank. I don't know if you heard of it, but it's like an online dashboard where brands can really see more detailed information about their product, the product life cycle. So the data bank will really track all your success in different campaigns, so like Double 11, Super Brand Days. They will also track the live streaming broadcast performance. And then based on that, they will analyze information, and they will create some accurate marketing campaign for you to reach Chinese consumers. So Alibaba is a data company, so there's definitely a lot that can be done for brands to market to their consumers.
If you need to exchange with a client for maybe some delay about the product, for maybe some changes about the product, are you contacting them directly? Do you have the phone number of them? Do you have a way to interact with them? What's the data the brands can get?
So usually the brands get their data from their TP. We actually ask the brand to ask their TP like a monthly or even weekly reports that the TP make and then send to the brands. And then otherwise they also have access to this dashboard for the brand. So I usually have like calls with the brand, especially after big campaigns. We do like a review meeting to see what went good, what can be improved, etc. So yeah, I have personal contact with my brands, and that's really why it's interesting for brands. Like they have support, they have one BD in charge of their category, so they can always reach out to me, and I can always get information for them. So yeah, it's definitely a good relationship that we have with them in order to accompany them and help them through the whole process.
I have a question about potential integration. Do you have any integration with existing solutions from the West that would push the products on Tmall Global? You know, Lango in the West, which would able to push products on marketplaces, like to connect Shopify or Magento on Tmall. Is it something you said no with your head in the video? If people are listening to us, they may not see that. So I believe it's a no. But is there an easy way to push the product, or you just have to recreate a shop on Tmall Global?
Yeah, it's very, I mean, Tmall and the Alibaba ecosystem is very dependent from any other ecosystem in Europe or anywhere else there. So you have to create a specific shop because your product will be specific as well. As we mentioned, the product will be different in China. You won't have the same visuals. You won't have the same product description. So, and that's actually why you need a TP. Those TP, they're really specialized. They will know what type of colors, what type of graphics will attract the consumers. They will know what type of wording will work well for China as well. So they will be the one creating all those content and all those product page and all the store for the brand. So no, there's no connection with European platforms.
I see. Yeah, it's true that there's a TP in between, which is doing all this work on inputting the data and giving a push to the data and the product on the platforms. So we went through the metrics on how it goes, and we went through a few case studies and what to do, best practices to start. Then I've run my Tmall Global for some time, and I have to prepare for festivals, Double 11, Double 12, 618, Super Brand Day, maybe you can participate too. I feel that managing and preparing such big festivals from your own country and from very far away from China might create different challenges, different questions. Have you found some topics to be prepared for, to prepare in advance, to be good at those festivals, which are actually where you can make a big difference in your year. I mean, we have seen brands that are preparing for this festival for months. I mean, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months before, and who are spending maybe 2/3 of the marketing spending for these festivals. So, what would be your take on this for the brands using Tmall Global and wanting to catch the festivals in China?
Yes, so Double 11 is definitely a really big festival that the brands cannot miss. Because it's the biggest festival, it also means it's one of the most competitive festival. You know, all the brands are doing sales on those days. So in a way, it's a very good opportunity for brands to, aside from great sales, build their brand, but also educate the consumers. We've seen the live streaming trend is exploding this year, and brands do like 24/7 live streaming for consumers to connect and interact with the brands. But it's also a very good way to launch new products. This year during Double 11, there were 2 million new products that were launched on the platform. So it's a very good way for brands to launch a product, but also do sometimes collaborations and like exclusive partnerships for the Double 11 products. So it's definitely a good opportunity, and usually Double 11 represents 30 to 40% of the annual sales of the brand. But one thing I would like to say, and especially for new brands, is that it's very hard to succeed in your first Double 11 if you didn't have or didn't participate to a smaller promotion before. And why is that? Is because, you know, during those big promotion, what is really important is to retarget and reach to your existing consumer base. But if you never join a promotion like 618 or Women's Day or Chinese New Year promotion, it's quite hard. You don't have any consumer yet. So because there is so many brands selling during that day, it's going to be even more expensive to buy for traffic and to get consumers. So my advice for new brands, if it's your first Double 11, is first to prepare and do a really good campaign for a smaller promotion like 618, and I mentioned Moments Day, etc. So this will be a good opportunity to build your consumer base. And then once you have Double 11 coming, it will be really easier to retarget those consumers and have them participate and buy your product during this period.
What are the festivals that are less known than Double 11 that you like, that you feel there's an opportunity to catch TCJ or Women's Day? I don't know if it's really a festival, by the way. I know there are promotion activities, but it's a real festival within the Alibaba ecosystem. Would you share a bit of some secret festivals that could be caught more easily?
Yeah, actually, it really depends of what is your product category. But I think Women's Day is very interesting if you have beauty products or, you know, products for moms, etc. But then each category is actually creating specific festivals. So you could have a face mask festival, you could have a Parents Day festival. So, you know, that's why it's very important for the TP to work well with the category managers in China, because based on the demand, they will create you know, specific promotions to make those new brands well known. So that's a very interesting ways to do so. And actually, with Tmall Global, they created an initiative to help those new brands enter the China market. So sometimes they will have campaign on a specific topic, and they will have KOLs and specific hashtags to create the buzz. So this are really interesting initiatives that the brands can join. Usually the category managers will share it in the group. We have a dean group with all the stakeholders, all the TPs, and they will say, okay, we're launching a meal porter day, or we're launching a makeup day for pregnant women. Who wants to join? And please create a specific content, and we will create a hashtag, and we want to make the buzz. So there's a lot of other opportunities than Double 11 for the brands to make sales and participate to campaigns.
You are working with brands from Europe, I believe, mainly from Europe. Um, what do you feel about the perception of Europe or specific nations within the Chinese market? Do you feel it's still a differentiating asset? Because that's a challengeable perspective now. You have very strong Chinese brands now in China. You have Perfect Diary, for instance, in the makeup. You would have in skincare, even some Chinese brands were doing good, like Shando and others. So being a foreign brand is not in an edge in itself anymore, a natural edge. You need to maybe do more. What's your perspective on that? Is there still an edge to be a European brand, to be a French, Italian brand? Initial age without doing much more?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, on Tmall Global, we have more than 25,000 brands, but the demand for imported goods is still high. Like Tmall Global, we were up 40% year on year in terms of sales since last quarter. So I think it really shows that there is still a lot of demand, and actually selling to Chinese consumers today is a great way for European brands, for example, to rebound and make up for the losses that they have in their local country. So there's definitely opportunity for them. It's true that Chinese brands are on the rise, and we've seen amazing success stories from Chinese brands. But I think, yeah, for Western products, it's also a good opportunity. I mean, Chinese consumers are very curious. They follow more and more influencers from overseas, whether they are on Xiaohongshu or they would even go maybe on YouTube and Instagram. So there's still a strong demand for all those products that they cannot have in China. So that's definitely a good opportunity for brands. And actually, we're also trying to develop other countries that haven't launched on Tmall Global yet. So, for example, products from Israel that are very good in cosmetics. We're trying to have more Nordics countries as well to join. We did some collaboration with brands in Africa as well. So I think it's also interesting to give consumers in China more perspective about other countries that they might have never visited or that they don't know the products about. So there's definitely a lot of room to grow for import business.
That's the thing, actually. We were very surprised. We work with Uruguay, the country in Latin America, and they are very strong in meat. I mean, they own 20% of the market, and they are becoming very dependent to China. So it's key for them to be very strong and to keep this image of link to nature and so on. And I believe some countries still have to shape their own image within the Chinese market. There's still things to do. I have a last question. Let's say I'm a brand doing well, Tmall Global, I'm ambitious, and I hear about TMIC. So to build product with Tmall, with Alibaba Group, based on data, and the business case is Shiseido, I think, which built a product with the Hangzhou offices of Alibaba. Is it something that you saw among your brands doing that you have followed to work with Alibaba on creating new products or adapting their products?
So yeah, it's a great example, and I mean, the TMIC is a very interesting tool because it really can help the brand create specific products for China. So you mentioned Shiseido, but one example that I love is actually the Mars that they created a spicy sneaker for China, because I realized that actually people in China were interested in spicy sneakers, the bar that you would eat. So I think it's definitely an interesting platform. Usually it is not for new brands. So I don't have yet one of my brands who actually joined the TMIC initiative, but usually, yeah, it's for big brands. So we have Mars, we have Unilever, who launched a specific line for polluted, against pollution. There's also L'Oreal, who launched a specific line for men's, so men's makeup, men's skincare, because they realized with Tmall data that actually there was a lot of demand and a lot of men searching for beauty products. So that's definitely a good opportunity for brands. And again, using all the data from Alibaba is a really powerful tools for brands to create very specific product that would answer the Chinese demand.
Thanks, Chloe, for all those learnings. How, if a brand is interested in Tmall Global, how they should reach out to you?
So yeah, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Chloe Goncalves. Otherwise, we have a platform, the merchant channel. I can send you the link. Maybe you can put it in the podcast bio, but it's definitely a link where it explains all our business models, and you have a contact form where you can write your details, and the BD in charge of your subcategory will reach out to you directly.
Thanks again. I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope you did, and I hope everyone listening to us did enjoy the talk. Thanks, Chloe, again.
Thank you so much.